Welcome guys, welcome everybody.
Yeah,
Welcome. My name is Dr. Saf Buxy. I've got Captain Ali Javed here, and I've got Mr. Roops, aka Rupin, and we're all part of the Stop Trafficking team, based in London, and we are a voluntary organisation, but we're an organisation that wants to make a difference, wants to make a change, wants to save lives, wants to help innocent women, innocent children from exploitation. That's what we're here for, right guys?
quite right.
And why are we doing this podcast? What's the reason why we're doing this podcast, Ali? Talk to me.
Well, it's the reason that we've started our organisation, really, is human trafficking and modern day slavery is such a big issue, and it really just goes unnoticed. You know, we talk about knife crime, it's a big problem. We talk about a lot of crimes that happen all around London, the UK and worldwide, but you don't really hear much about human trafficking. But then you think, okay, if you don't hear much, maybe it's not a big problem. We've seen the scale of the problem. We'll get to the scale a little later, guys.
It's a massive problem, Roots.
It's just thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of people in the UK, millions and millions around Europe and worldwide are affected by this in different forms. Some are, very basic, and some are literally massive crimes against humanity.
And it's happening closer to home than you might think as well.
Yeah.
I saw that film the other day, Sound of Freedom. Have you seen it?
I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
It's just mind-boggling that this happens in this day and age, and it's happening all over the world, and it's happening right on our doorstep. So what is it? What is modern day slavery?
You want to give us a little explanation?
Well, I don't know. It doesn't just cover slavery. It's just human trafficking, sex trafficking. What we're talking about, obviously slavery, servitude, forced compulsory labour. Yeah, I mean,
when we were out in the town, we were asking people what was their definition of it. They were kind of accurate, but it varied as well. Like, people don't exactly know what it is.
They don't know what it is.
And it's hard for them to just pick out a few items. They think, what is human trafficking? Oh, maybe it's smuggling. Maybe it's bringing people on the boats, on the small boats, or maybe it's just sex slavery. But there's so many different parts of it, and you don't know all those little parts, and it's hard to actually put it in one sentence. But I'm actually looking here at the European Convention, Article 4A, what they say. So I'll just read it out to everyone that's listening. They say that trafficking in human beings shall mean the recruitment, the transportation, transfer, harbouring, or the receipt of persons by the means of threat or the use of force or other forms of coercion. So coercion can mean abduction. We know abduction goes around all around the world. Fraud, deception, the abuse of power or position of a vulnerability. We'll come a little later to what sort of vulnerabilities there are. It's not just one or two. There's too many to think of. Then we've got of the giving or receiving of payments or benefits to achieve consent of a person having control over another person for the purpose of exploitation. And what are the forms of exploitation? We've noticed a few already.
It breaks my heart. You just hearing you say that. It's just. Is it the biggest trade now? Has it overtaken drug trafficking? Or is it?
I have to double check the figures, but it's getting close.
It's either number one or number two of most heinous crimes out there. It's definitely one of the heinous crimes out there. I mean, it's just it just breaks my heart to know that innocent children around the world, vulnerable children, are getting abducted and getting sold for sex. It's like, what's the world coming to? And it's happening in conflict zones, in war zones, everywhere. It's happening. People who are poor, poverty. I mean, it's happening with people who are vulnerable. It's happening from people who are high up in an authoritative position, in authority, and we're talking, in some cases, politicians, religious leaders, pimps, mafia bosses, it's teachers, people.
We've seen quite a lot in the filming area now as well, isn't it?
Producers.
A lot of actors and producers are getting caught, and we might pull up some articles about that. Without getting too controversial on the show.
Exactly. We don't want it. But I've got a guest coming. We'll have a guest coming in the coming weeks called Lorata Lyon, and she was trafficked from a very young age, and she was enslaved and ensnared in this wonderfully wicked, disgusting the situation that she was in it's just anyway. But she'll tell her story when she comes.
It is horrible. I've heard it a couple of times now.
Yeah, I think I heard it once at the event when she spoke.
It was rough.
Yeah, it was
rough.
But that's why we do these events. That's why we do these events,
it's
right?
Just to raise
it's to raise awareness, and that's why we're doing what we're doing today. You know, we're not doing. You know, I wish we didn't have to do this. You know, I wish we didn't have to sit here, the three of us, and talk about human sex trafficking, modern day slavery. I wish we didn't have to do this.
That's a good point.
Yeah, but we're doing it because it's a big problem,
and it's happening.
All right.
Yeah.
Should we have a look at some statistics?
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah.
So these statistics are actually just from the end of 2023, because we haven't got the latest ones for Q1 yet. It should be coming up very soon.
I wonder why.
Yeah, well, some might be hidden. You never know from us. But yeah, so looking at worldwide, this is from Unseen. They say that there's 50 million people in modern day slavery. 50 million people. That's a massive number of people. 50 million. So, you know, you go to Wembley Stadium, how many people get in there? 70,000, 80,000?
Yeah.
Imagine that times, I don't know, my mental maths isn't great, but it's over 10,000 times, something like that. It's disgraceful. And what is the biggest form? I'll ask you guys, you should know this, but what's the biggest form of modern day slavery?
Labour?
It is.
It's labour, isn't it?
It's forced labour. It's at 28 million people plus. And you know, there's some countries are harder in it than others. It's happening here in the UK.
And it's not
as well.
just manual service; it's any service, right?
It's mostly any sort of manual labour. Yeah.
No, it's not just manual.
Forced labour. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, it is what it is.
And what about the UK? Let's get closer to home. Some numbers, guys.
Go on, let's hear it.
100,000 people. They're in modern day slavery. And you know, people might be saying, "Wait, we're meant to be talking about human trafficking, not modern day slavery." But they're linked, as we heard. It's not just you don't traffic someone just so they can get to their destination and have a merry way. That's more of a bit of smuggling. And I think another time we'll discuss the issues and the differences between smuggling and trafficking, because not that we condone smuggling, but a lot of the time it's people pay for their service, and again it can become trafficking when they have to do it because they're vulnerable, if they've come from war-torn regions, poverty-stricken areas. I don't want to get too controversial, but many countries have had their whole countries torn apart by conflict, and there's nowhere to go. So
it's not about getting controversial. I mean, look, Ukraine, Palestine, Syria, Congo, it's happening in these countries. Okay, I don't think we should keep quiet about it.
Yeah.
It's
happening right now. They say 5 million people are in famine conditions. What do? We just leave them there, say it's your country?
These people are desperate, right? And they will turn to anything. And if they're sold a dream to go to a country like the UK or the USA and they're sold the dream, and it's called manipulation. They're manipulated in believing that they're going to have a better life, not knowing that they're selling their body and not getting a penny of that.
It's horrible. That reminds me of one scene from that film Sound of Freedom, when he talks about selling a piece of selling some drugs is one-time use. You sell it, it's gone. But a child or a woman can be used for years and years, one after the other. It's a business. It's a commodity that they use and abuse it. And guys, if you're listening, if you're watching, if you haven't watched Sound of Freedom, have a watch of it. It will blow your mind. It will open your eyes to how it is, and you see the innocent children there. And I don't like to admit that I've had a little weep sometimes when I watch the news about current affairs, but that one did make me weep, unfortunately, in the cinema, and when I rewatched it a couple of times. It's a hard one to watch.
You got daughter, sister, mother?
Sister, yeah.
Yeah, you got daughter, sister, mother?
I've got a mother, a sister, and many female friends.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a daughter, I've got a wife, mother-in-law, women. Imagine if it happened to one of us. Imagine if it happened to one of yours, one of your loved ones. Imagine. It can happen to anyone. Anyone. I heard a story, I think it was in Sound of Freedom, wasn't it? The young girl. She was manipulated. The father was manipulated to say that your girl is beautiful. I think, was it 10 years old, that she could be a model. And the family is a poor family, and all they've got in their minds is pound signs or dollar signs in their head, thinking, "Wow,
way out."
But it's a woman who's coming to them.
An opportunity.
There's a woman who's coming to them. They're thinking, "Okay, it's a woman." They don't think about anything untoward's going to happen. The woman's coming to them. really well educated, dressed well, say, look, your daughter's very beautiful, she could be on a magazine, blah 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 blah, and you can wait outside or you can wait downstairs. They take in the room, all these girls are there, for like a modelling audition,
taking all the pictures.
Yeah, and they say to the father, come back in about half an hour, 1 hour, you can pick them up. So he goes out, has a coffee, comes back, knocks on the door, the room is empty.
Whole building's empty. And then you find out that they've been shipped they're in a shipping container. They've gone abroad.
Imagine what's going on.
So quick. I've seen videos of people getting abducted, and they're gone. The system is so smooth that as soon as they get abducted, they're shifted across borders like that.
So what do we do? What do we do? How do we stop it? What's the answer, guys?
It's a very difficult thing to fight. It's a hard one.
Yeah, obviously talking about it as much as we can.
Raising awareness. People don't know about
people know.
the simple things like the different types, the type of recruitment techniques. We talk about scams, we talk about this online stuff. That's all happening online
tell us more about recruitment techniques. Yeah.
Some other recruitment techniques we heard about. There's abduction. There's what was that from the film Sound of Freedom? It was a deceptive job offer. Basically, they were offering the kids an opportunity to do modelling and get some money that way. But deceptive job offers go a long way. Going abroad, and then you become a victim of domestic servitude here. You're like a slave working in restaurants. We actually have a good friend of ours who speaks at quite a few of our events, who was a victim of human trafficking and modern day slavery, and he's still trying to get justice more than 10 years later.
Well, you know who else was a victim, don't you?
More than 14 years.
You know who else was a victim, don't you?
Yeah.
Mo Farah.
Mo Farah.
Mo Farah.
Yeah, that's a good one.
The pride of English Olympics athletics. Probably one of the best, long distance runners this country's ever had, and he was a victim of modern day slavery.
Really?
Wow.
Mo Farah.
We need to have a look into that a little bit.
Yeah, we'll try and get him in.
Discuss it a bit.
We need to get Mo Farah in.
Why not?
Yeah, no, that would be really good. I think the listeners will really enjoy that as well.
My point is that it can happen to anyone.
It can.
Absolutely.
At all levels.
Call him out.
Yeah.
To come.
Mo Farah, if you're listening, it's a long shot.
I'm trying to think what
tag
his
him
sign,
on all the social
what
media.
his sign was, wasn't it?
No, it was.
No, it was
this. It was this.
Oh yeah, it was. Yeah, Mo, we need you.
Mo, tell us your story.
How did you? Because I was going to do one. That's Usain Bolt.
No, that's
But yeah, look. Joking aside, guys, it's a serious problem. It does not discriminate. Yeah, if they think you're vulnerable and they're in a position that they can use your vulnerability, they will. And we're saying innocent women and innocent children. We're talking men as well. Look at Mo, and look at how hard. There's people out there.
Well, 21% of sex trafficking victims are men. 21%.
Really?
Yeah. So we know 79% are women, and that's horrible. Very, very horrible. But you think men don't get this at all, but it's 21%. It's a lot of people out of the how many millions are suffering from this, and the vast majority of them, unfortunately, are little boys. It's sad to say. And one thing which we always discuss, and it just brings it back down to level, is we can talk about recruitment, so we can do it how we can stop it and all that. But there's that old saying in business: if there's no demand, then there won't be a supply. So if there's so many millions of people, hundreds of thousands of little boys, little girls in our area, in London, there's so many gangs that have been caught over the last years, but they're very hard to catch. People are exploiting this, and they could be our co-workers, they could be people we pass on the street. So it's not just trying to catch the people who are running in the background. It's trying to find the people that are using this service. Yeah. It's horrible.
I've been thinking about it, and I totally agree with what you're saying, but I have been thinking about it because we spoke about it the other day. Look, some people who do use services, like for example, go to escorts, right? They don't. It's unbeknown to them, 99% of the time, that the women that they're using for their services have been trafficked. In their mind, it's like this is a woman there. It's her choice. She chooses to be, because the reason why I'm a psychotherapist, as you know, and one of my clients is an escort, and I keep on speaking to her because obviously I have my Stop Trafficking hat on, and I keep on trying to find out, are you being forced to do this? Is anyone governing what you're doing? Anyone looking over you? And she says no. So that there are cases out there that there's women out there who who it's their choice and they want to do that. So I wouldn't say perpetrators, but the people who are using services like that, they don't always know that the women they're going to are trafficked. So how can we blame them when it's the people higher up who are?
Well,
Yeah,
I'm just putting it out.
Yeah.
there.
Obviously, that's with the adults who are, being solicited.
Yeah,
for
yeah.
sexual
But again,
activities.
it depends. I personally, I don't agree that people should be paying for services like that anyway. People should go the authentic route.
I think
that's why Mr. Rupert is a dating coach. Anyone who's listening.
Obviously, there's levels to like how healthy we could expect the planet to one day be.
Yeah.
And if we can sort out the child abuse, and then the unfortunate older women who get into that sort of situation, and then we work on the next level of health.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's such a big issue to fight.
It is a big issue.
And we can go over a few.
Please, yeah. I just wanted to put it out there because my client who I work with, who comes to me for therapy, I did ask her how she got into this field, and she said that her family was struggling for money, and her and her sister decided to bring money for the family, and that's how they started. But it's heartbreaking.
Yeah, well, that's one of the vulnerabilities, isn't it?
Yeah.
We can go over a few of the vulnerabilities.
Yeah,
I think we've spoken about quite a few.
Yeah.
Migrants and refugees. So people who are stuck at borders, who are travelling, who don't have much money, that's a vulnerability, unfortunately, and that it does get exploited. We've got homeless individuals.
Oh, yeah.
Especially in London, and we're not just talking about when we say homeless people are being used for sex trafficking. It's very it happens. I'm not saying it happened, but a lot of homeless people are being used for criminal exploitation, doing drug selling, moving things around, carrying, doing. I think that's a part of modern day slavery as well.
Well, when it comes to drug selling, it's not just the homeless; it's the youth.
The youth people.
The youth, who live in the estates, who are attracted to the clothes and the money and the trainers, and you've got people from up north coming down. It's called county lines, in case you don't know what it is. And county lines is a big problem in here, and it's on their doorstep, and they can't get out because they're attracted. Yeah, they're vulnerable. So these older boys, young men, are attracting these young kids to sell drugs for them. And if you do that for us, you'll get the nice trainers, you'll get the money, you'll get that. And if you don't, we know where you live.
Yes.
Yeah, and treated like a minor if they get caught or anything, so they got less punishment.
And obviously keep your mouth shut because you don't give my name to anyone. They got that. If you do, then we know where you live.
Exactly. You know your family. I know your grandparents, and they're going to suffer. And it happens, and that's another reason why a lot of people don't seek help, is because their families are being held hostage. Not essentially hostage like being locked up, but they know their names, they know where they live, they know where they work. So if you don't do what we say, we know we'll target your family, your friends, your loved ones.
And
so
maybe people around as well
Yeah.
don't speak up, and that if more people in the surrounding area, people that were watching, maybe people that were suspicious or thought that there was something up, if they were speaking up, that might be easier then.
Quite right. Well, that's one of the things we want people to do, not just raise awareness, but know the signs. How to spot things going on, how to spot someone who may be being forced to work.
Yeah, and how to help without making it worse.
Yeah. So we actually have that exercise in our events where we say, what are the questions we ask? We say, okay, what kind of exploitation is happening here? How may have they got into this situation? And what is the best course of action to take? And who should take it?
Yeah,
it's very important.
Where's that next event?
We've got 1st of May.
1st of May.
In where was it? Kensington? Not Kensington.
No, Universal Peace Federation.
Yeah, Universal Peace.
Lancaster Gate.
Lancaster Gate.
We always do it there. Well, it's
one of our events. Yeah, and then we've got the 12th of
June.
12th of June.
But the 1st of May. Well, what time does it start?
It's at 6 p.m.
6 p.m.
Yeah.
Come down, guys.
It'll be on our website. I'm just in the process of getting that set up. This is being recorded on the 28th of March, but it should be online very soon for everyone listening.
But we do plenty of events throughout the year, so please keep an eye out.
We try to get on every 6 weeks or so, and then some small community events. But what would the exercise is? The last question was, how may have they got into this situation, and what is the best course of action? So how can you get them out?
Yeah.
And this is a hard one. So and this is something we talk about in our presentation as well. These are the dangers of the DIY method.
Do it yourself.
Yeah, doing it yourself. You don't just want to jump in and be the hero of the day because you don't know where you're going. These gangs are extremely rough.
Yeah.
If anyone sees, I don't want to keep referring films here, but a lot of people have seen the films, so it's the only way that people actually understand and feel it is, like Taken. This gang, they've all across Europe and
Liam Neeson.
Liam Neeson, and he just wants to talk to them. As soon as he starts asking weird questions, gangs come out the car with guns.
Well, there was
they're not afraid to stab you. They're not afraid to hurt you, run you over, whatever. So there's on top of the legal risks, the legal ramifications. There's also your safety concerns. There's just a lack of general expertise across the board. You might be actually compromising ongoing investigations. Not that we don't want you to not do anything, but do your investigations. Give your signs to the police if you think that this is seriously happening. And then look at the severity of the issue as well. Do you think that something's going to happen imminently? Do you see a load of children that are going to be moved tonight? Then you call the 999 straight away and you tell them you have suspicions. But if you think this is a long-term thing, something that's been happening for years, you don't just want to jump in. You want to try and do your mini investigations, let people know, let the police know.
Or come to us.
Or come to us.
Come to us and we'll be able to support
guide you.
Yeah.
But we're not exactly full experts on it, but we've been working enough on it. We've got contacts who can get help for these people.
Yeah.
And the last thing we don't want to do is these people to be victimized and then taken out, given a chance, and then they're re-victimized again.
Well, that's the risk, isn't it?
It does. It happens when young people have been brought into this because they've been grown up to know that this is the normal for them. If they've been doing this since 5 years old and they're 15 now, you take them out, give them a bit of help, they say, well, I don't know what to do now. This my whole life has been this. That's horrible to think that that's the only thing they can do.
And then you've got that Stockholm syndrome going on, they fall in love with the captive. It's so sad. It's so sad.
It's very sad.
But do not do it yourself, guys. Do not do it yourself because it's dangerous. It's a risk to you and it's a risk to them even more. As Captain Ali just said, it's just don't do it.
Just get the help. The help. Everyone is there to help you. So like I said, if it's an emergency, if you think something's happening imminently, someone's life is in danger, someone's going to get moved, call 999. That's the best thing, and tell them and let them know.
After doing our workshop that we did at the last event, I feel like you get a better idea of which instances to use what pathway and when to act, and perhaps when to just sit back and watch and make your notes and keep a diary of what's going on.
Quite right. No, it's all really just about knowing the signs and what's out there. And we spoke to members of the public. We done a video. We went into London and we asked people, what do you know? Do you know any types? What is modern day slavery? What is human trafficking? Do you know the scale of the issue? And it's like, well, not much at all. I've seen a couple of films. They don't know how big this is. And if you want more help, on top of calling us, our number's on the website. You can email us. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, all that sort of stuff. You can always ask. There's the Salvation Army. They're doing a lot of work on this. There's the Modern Slavery Helpline, which you can look online as well. Oh, that's my phone.
Is that Mo Farah?
I don't know if he's listening, but let's have a look. And then there's the National Crime Agency. So this is when you want actual tactical advice on how to, if you encounter a situation. So again, it's not always going to be, every scenario is different, but you really have to attend our event. And we'll share that on our website, where you'll learn a little bit more about how to act in these situations.
Well, look, I mean, are we coming to an end of this first podcast?
I believe it is. It's such a big thing. We can talk again. We've got myths. We can talk about myths versus reality. We can talk about the root causes, which we did touch on slightly.
The general indicators, right?
Yeah, general indicators. We can talk about contradicting factors. But we really actually wanted to look deeper, maybe in the episode 2, about the physical and the psychological impact this has on the people that are suffering and on the people around it.
Every day I deal with people like this, every day.
Yeah.
But before we come to a close, right, I want to ask you guys, because not everyone has the will or the desire to get involved in something like this, like we have. What is your reasons for getting involved with stoptrafficking.co.uk?
Getting involved.
Yeah, why are you doing this?
I founded it, number one.
But why?
Why? I wanted to do something that will make a change. And obviously there's a lot going on. Everyone can make a change in any small way, even if it's just picking up some litter. that's a change in your local area.
Yeah.
But I just thought that this subject is so underrepresented everywhere. You don't hear about it. You don't hear about it at all. And I thought, let's just look into it. And I didn't see nothing was happening. So I thought maybe this is my way to make a change to the world. Even if it's just a small change. We're not a big charity. We haven't saved hundreds and thousands of people. But if
Not yet.
we'll get there eventually. And I just, I don't like to see people suffering, especially, it's the kids for me. Adults are obviously very important as well. But when I see innocent young people who are being exploited, I can't turn a blind eye. It's horrible. Yeah.
Thanks, Ollie. What about you, Roops? What's your what
Yeah.
made you get involved with this? Because it's not everyone's thing, is it?
Well, I think at first I just not heard anything about it. I'd seen Taken, and I'm not that easily surprised, and I was very, very shocked when I first went to that event at Lancaster Gate and I heard the statistics, and I was like, this is a really big issue, and I had no idea that this was so close to home and that this was affecting so many people. And being a men's life coach, I recognise in myself and in the men that I help how easy it is for men to slip in the wrong direction, and even on a micro basis that they just are making bad decisions for the people around them, for the general population, for the future. And so I think if we, I try and help as many men as I can to make good decisions and be healthy additions to the planet. And this is just a whole bunch of mainly men who are not doing that. And I feel like this is exactly the anti of my mission, is to bring a better generation of men, and feel like I can help a lot with that and lead that direction.
That's what
I
education.
think everyone does their own little bit. We can't fix all the problems in the world. I do my own little bit. This is something that my contribution. Rupin's obviously mentioned why he's doing it and his contributions to other areas of society. But I think finally, Seth, why are you doing it?
Well, I mean, obviously education, what you're saying is educating people, but the reason why I'm doing it, I mean, I myself was not, I don't think I was trafficked, but I'm a victim of abuse from a very young age, so I know what it's like to be in fear. I know for me, my story's out there from ages of 11 to 17, 6 years. Every day of my life, I was abused either physically, emotionally, and sometimes sexually, and it's hard for someone to understand what goes through a child's mind when they're enduring this kind of pain, enduring this kind of humiliation, enduring this kind of control. And because I've endured it to some extent, and not in terms of that's what some of these people are going through by any stretch, but obviously it was still quite traumatic for me. I want to make a difference. I want to help other children come out of this. I want to help innocent, vulnerable adults and children to come out of sex trafficking, human trafficking, modern day slavery, labour, forced labour. We haven't even spoken about honour killings and organ harvesting. I mean, this topic is so big, it's so huge. Guys, please, we need your support. We're here doing something. This is all voluntary, right? We want to make a difference. We want to make people aware of what's going on out there. This is serious. www.stoptrafficking.co.uk. Come and get in touch with us, and we'll do our best to help save humanity and innocent, vulnerable children and adults.
Quite right. Thank you very much for that close. I think that leads us to the end of episode 1. One of many, actually. I hope so. And just following on the scope of these podcasts, we don't just want to have little discussions between ourselves. We want to bring in guests, special guests, not just people who are big in the field, but also victims. We want them to share their story, and to tell us how they got away with it. That's it. Yeah.
Thanks, guys. And obviously, if you want one of these,
we have badges. End human trafficking. Raise your voices. Break those chains, guys. www.stoptrafficking.co.uk.
All right.
Thanks.
Close up.